Hello and welcome to Modern Toyfare News, the weekly show that talks about toys. I am your host, Michael, and it's the first week of the month, which means I am joined by one of the hosts of the Figuratively Speaking podcast, Nate. How are you this week, Nate?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'd be better if some of my packages decide to show up, but,
Gotcha.
Well, I guess that's a mild spoiler of things that will come much later in the show.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to show Jamar that it's not just He-Man and merchandise I'll wear. I'll wear it all.
Oh, touche.
Yeah.
We have no boundaries here at Modern Toyfare News.
Yeah.
Well, some, but not many.
Right.
If you are new to the show, the way it works is we break down the weekly toy news, and then we do our weekly purchases and send you on your way. So we're going to get started, and we're going to start the same way we do every week at this point, and that is with good old Mcfarlane. And
that's right. Todd is just an American treasure at this point.
He is. If nothing else, he's entertaining to watch on top of all the things that he gives us.
Right.
But this week, we got the Target exclusive DC Multiverse Joker Bot Build-A-Figure Wave Batman Beyond that went up for pre-order on Target.com for $24.99, shipping in March of 2021, while the regular Batman Beyond DC Multiverse figure has gone up for pre-order in overseas e-retailer shops. So if you're impatient, I guess theoretically you can just order it through them, but they should be showing up soon if it's already going overseas. And this also means we got a pretty good side-by-side comparison with a bunch of new pictures of the differences between the two. But that's not all we got from the DC Multiverse line. We got a leaked list of new figures, you guessed it, via overseas retailers.
Yeah.
So strap in, we've got a little bit of a long one here. We are going to get a set of Suicide Squad movie figures. First is the Mega figure King Shark. That is going to be gold label, meaning it's going to be Walmart exclusive. Then we're going to have a Build-A-Figure wave, which is wave 5 if you're counting. And that is going to consist of Suicide Squad movie, Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Polka Dot Man, Peacemaker, Bloodsport Unmasked, and Peacemaker Unmasked. And the Build-A-Figure has not been announced, but it is assumed to also be King Shark and just be a different, like be the regular version and the gold label will be a variant, but nothing confirmed, obviously.
That would make sense the most.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. However, they did also announce a wave of the gaming figures, and that is going to include the Injustice Dr. Fate and Injustice Flash with his alternate Hot Pursuit costume, which is the white and gold one that we've kind of seen just hiding in the background of Todd's videos. But we're still not done there. We've got the Red Hood Unmasked, which is going to be gold label, and Azrael White Templar, which is also going to be gold label. And of course, Mcfarlane has yet to confirm any of these, but knowing them, I'm sure we'll see prototypes, if not things hidden in the back of the videos in the coming months. So a lot to unpack there. I mean, it's mostly obviously DC, but I'm not surprised to see Suicide Squad figures just because, we just had the leak for the Justice League, a month ago?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was actually the last show you were on.
I think it was too.
I don't know how much interest I have in Suicide Squad movie figures just yet, considering we haven't even really gotten like a full trailer for it.
No, we haven't gotten a trailer. We don't really know anything. Although something tells me I'll probably get one for sure.
Is it going to be Polka Dot Man?
You got it.
And I'm going to guess only because it's Peter Capaldi.
Well, actually, no. I was going to get the Harley Quinn one, but yeah. Actually, I don't think Capaldi is Polka Dot Man.
Who is he playing? He's playing some.
Yeah, now if they did get a figure of him, absolutely.
Yeah,
I got to keep those.
I'm getting. There's so many characters and so many actors that they've just
kind of
shown, but they haven't been like this person's this person. So I got him mixed up. He's not Polka Dot Man. He's someone else. Because there's even in the picture I'm looking at it, he's definitely not Pokemon Man. He's got like spikes on his head. So I don't know. Maybe he's like DC Darth Maul or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume you'd get the Harley Quinn. I'm
Yeah.
curious, do you have any interest in a potential King Shark Build-A-Figure?
No, no. I guess I'm done with like I'm gonna get the Justice League ones for sure that
Mhm.
McFarlane does. I think that'll be a really cool set. I mean, unless the Suicide Squad movie just absolutely blows me away, which it perfectly could. I mean, these are all different creators involved with this one instead of the first one. So I would hesitate to say that I would get any others, but I don't know. Never say never, because if I really enjoy something, like I'll track something down.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I will say, based on the tiny teaser we got with the new HBO Max, like, look at all the movies we're gonna have. If nothing
Right.
else, I think John Cena is gonna steal the show because he just looks like he's
I'm
gonna be
hoping.
hilarious. Yeah.
The funny thing about him, I don't follow wrestling at all, but I've loved every movie he's been in that he's had a prominent role in.
Hmm.
Um, so I think he's great.
Yeah, he's very charismatic. I mean, he was charismatic when he was in
Hmm.
WWE, but the problem was he was the Boy Scout. He was the good, always the
Right.
good guy. So people just got tired of him, and eventually they turned on him. But I feel like in every movie he's in, he's hilarious. He's absolutely fantastic. He I'm trying to there was that movie with the where they were all like all the parents were trying to find their kids who were
Oh
out
yeah,
partying. Like,
blockers.
yeah, that's what it was. And like
He's hilarious in that.
like there's this.
Very charismatic. The part he has in Trainwreck is really good. I don't know if you
Mhm,
saw that. What was the one? Sisters, I think, with
mhm,
Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. He
yeah.
showed up in as like a drug dealer. Like he's really funny. He's got really good timing.
Oh yeah, he's great. So I'm sure he'll make that movie really work no matter how it turns out.
Yeah,
I am excited that we're getting more Injustice figures. I am sad that we're already seeing a variant of Flash that isn't Reverse Flash, but beggars
yeah.
can't be choosers, I guess, this quickly. Um, Unmasked Red Hood, I'd be more excited if I've actually seen the normal Red Hood in stores yet, but I
Right.
haven't seen the 2-pack, and I sure as hell haven't seen the single figure release yet, so that's kind of like I'm excited to see. I'm actually no, I'm kind of scared to see the Jason Todd head, especially after at least the prototype images of Unmasked Thomas Wayne, because Unmasked Thomas Wayne, his face looks jacked up. So that makes me
Yeah.
worried what they're gonna do to poor Jason Todd. I mean, he's already had his face jacked up enough by Joker. Do we really need
Right.
Todd McFarlane to do much
We
worse
need
to
Todd to
it?
do it. Yeah.
um, as far as the Batman Beyond stuff, it's cool. I'm still weighing back and forth on the fence over this new Build-A-Figure like model. I will say, if nothing else, it seems like it's gonna be less stressful because the stress of getting the Bane Build-A-Figure wave,
Yeah.
I'm just it was a nightmare because the cases only came with one set of 4, and then there was an extra Batman and an extra Omega, and if you weren't the lucky person to get there when they put them on the shelf, you're SOL.
Yeah. That's horrible.
So like sucked. I mean, Target, at least my Target, was good about like a week later they got a restock, but I mean that's a week of am I gonna be able to find this? Am I gonna have to pay eBay prices? Because it's not available on their website. Their website still shows it's street dated for the 28th.
Yeah. But if you bought Wonder Woman and Scarecrow, then that leaves now 2 of the Batman and 2 of the Omegas, which further is hindering,
Yeah,
the completion of the set. So
yeah,
that's rough.
it's a mess if you have more than one person collecting this line, and on top of that, Scalper is also going constantly to get these.
Right.
So I'm excited at the idea of okay, you get 6, so that way everyone gets a chance at them. But I feel like the spacing is a little too far apart. Like instead of every other month,
Yeah.
maybe every month would have been a better thing, or
Yep.
every 3 weeks or something. I don't know. Or even if they would have went with the NECA Toon Turtle model of like every other week for a while there, they were doing it.
Right.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah. Every other month seems like a long time, but I don't know how they'll coordinate that and
mm,
if it'll actually end up being like less than that or even more than that.
mm, yeah, it's. I mean, granted, the pre-orders for the Joker Bot Wave Batman Beyond are already technically ahead of schedule because when they announced it, Todd said that they would release in April, and this is set in
Yeah.
March, so it's already showing a month sooner than it's supposed to. I don't know if that's on Target's end of just being a little optimistic, or if they're giving themselves wiggle room for when they inevitably are delayed. Because let's face it, if you pre-order anything on Target.com, you're not getting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Batman Beyonds both look really great. Um, I I I almost wish the Joker Bot version came with the head that the mouth is open, just because I don't know the no mouth does it just
Yeah, I don't like that one.
like I've seen like I haven't actively read the comics, but I've seen enough of them. He still has a mouth. He's not
Yeah.
he's not sitting there like uh oh, what's his name, the noir guy from the boys, where you can't see his face and he just sits there in silence. So I'm not sure why they decide to do that, but one thing I did notice while looking at these pictures actually just now, I don't know if this is just because test shots, but the cards, the collector's cards, those aren't images from the books, those are actual pictures of the figures.
Oh, interesting.
I wonder if that's a new thing they're going to be doing, or if that was just like a, oh shit, we haven't finished the cards, but we want to put out, we have to put this out for the pre-orders kind of thing, or if
That could be.
going forward, Todd's like, I'm not paying some artists the rights to use their stuff anymore. Got to save that dollar bill, man.
Well, if it keeps the figures at 20-25 bucks, maybe that's the better option. What do you do with those cards anyway?
I mean, yeah, I've got a pile of them somewhere.
Yeah.
I at that point, I just say nix the cards. Like,
Yep.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, there's that too. I don't, Todd loves his cards.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be different. Like, yeah, trading cards right now are booming. Like, sports cards and stuff are really expensive. Ain't no one collecting these cards and going like, yeah, man, this is my thing. Like, they're getting their figure. They might use the stand, they might not, depending on the figure. And then the cards either get thrown away and never taken out of the box, or they get thrown in a pile in the closet somewhere. So
Yeah.
it seems like they could, if nothing else, they could save themselves money, even if they wouldn't, bring that value back to the customer. They could at least be like, hey,
Yeah.
we're saving 5 cents per figure at this point. And
Yep.
I'm sure that'd build up at some point. Moving on to another company, though, that had a huge week, and this is basically just because they had a Toyfare at Home event, and that is Hasbro. First, and this one's going to be right up Nate's alley here, we got a G.I. Joe classified Fortnite Snake Eyes figure, which will include 1 alternate hand and 10 weapon accessories. He was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive for $39.99, shipping January 2022, but has sold out. We then got the Marvel Legends Deluxe Maestro Hawk, which at first, like, every e-retailer had it at a different price, anywhere from $25 to $50, but it seems they've all kind of calmed down and settled around the $29.99 mark. He is available for pre-order right now at all major e-retailers, including Big Bad Toy Store, shipping August 2021. There also is more Marvel news, though, with the new Retro 3 3/4 Miss Marvel, Magneto, Human Torch, and the Hulk. Expect those to pop up in Targets for $9.99 around March or April of this year. And finally, for Hasbro for the week, we got a huge dump of pre-orders and announcements for the Star Wars series. First, the Best Buy exclusive Lucasfilm's 50th anniversary Phantom Menace Black Series retro card wave, consisting of Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, Jar Jar Binks, and a battle droid. For Amazon, the exclusive LucasArts Films 50th anniversary Black Series Kenner retro figures of an all-green Greedo, a double-cloaked Jawa, and a plastic robe Ben Kenobi, all stylized to look like the original Star Wars figures. In the vintage collection, we got news of a Darth Maul on Mandalore from the Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano on Mandalore from the Clone Wars, and Walmart exclusive Lucasfilm's 50th anniversary Poplu. I'm guessing it's one of the Ewoks. Princess Leia, and an AT-ST driver. We also got pipeline reveals for Black Series. There will be Tech, the Bad Batch, Aura Singh, Clone Wars, Zero, Droid from The Mandalorian, Casca Reeves, which is Sasha Banks in The Mandalorian, and General Lando Calrissian from Return of the Jedi. For Vintage Collection, we got IG-11 from The Mandalorian and Lando Calrissian from Empire Strikes Back. So, tons of Hasbro news. I've got to start at the top just because I feel like this kind of takes one of your loves and one of your accidental loves and meshes them together. So, did you pre-order the Fortnite Snake Eyes?
I did. And for anyone that follows along at all, I did have to be like, to my wife, I had to be like, I have to buy one Fortnite figure. And she just rolled her eyes, and I'm like, look. And I showed her the picture, and she's like, oh, yeah, I get that. So for anybody who's never heard the story, I bought a whole bunch of the 3 3/4-inch Fortnite figures on clearance, and it was really the only time my wife has ever given me shit for buying stuff. She was like, what are you doing? So it's funny, the reaction that this got. I'm kind of on it, but at the same time, when it's a Hasbro exclusive and it's G.I. Joe, I'm going to grab it just so I don't regret it later.
Yeah, don't want that FOMO.
What's that?
Don't want no FOMO.
No, exactly. So I did order it. I saw a lot of people being negative about it, and I'm just like, I've had my ear to the Joe community for a long time. I've gone to, several Joe cons, and one of the biggest things is like, they got to get kids back into it, which I roll my eyes at anyway, because kids don't give a shit about toys as it is. But they're like, we got to get kids back into it. It's got to be based on a video game. So they tie it in to the most popular video game, available to kids right now. And they're like, well, that's dumb. It's like, well, you got to make up your mind. If I buy this, I'm not required to buy Fortnite. I'm not required to play it. I'm not required to do anything but say, hey, this is a cool exclusive Snake Eyes that's probably not going to be made again. So that'll be a fun thing to show somebody 20 years from now, or I'll look back on that and be like, remember when that was a big deal? And then I'm totally talking about G.I. Joe because Fortnite has taken over the world, and we're getting the Fortnite, the third Fortnite movie from Michael Bay's kid or whatever it is. But I don't know. I thought it was fun. I thought it was cool. I think it's priced a little too high for what you're getting. But I'm not going to say anything that anybody else hasn't already said. Classified has to kind of get their shit together. It's fine if they want to keep putting out these variants to recoup costs and stuff. But you also got to make sure all of those figures that the people do want that you've released, people can get. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of a tough situation right there, but I think it's fun. If nothing else, it's an interesting footnote in G.I. Joe history.
Yeah, I think probably the best thing about it is the fact that it's part of the classified line. It's not part of of an actual Fortnite line, so it's not like they had Jazzwares go and make a Snake Eyes figure. This is strictly part of that. So if you have that like OCD completist mentality, you're not like, damn it, now that I have this, I have to collect all of the Fortnite figures to go with it. No, it's a part of the classified. It's just a stylized version. Like, I can understand. I would justify being upset at the fact that these figures have not been easily available to the collectors. So getting a variant of something you're not really interested in sucks. But it could be so much worse that I'm like, you can suck it up and just not buy it. Like, who cares? Like,
yeah, and that's it too. Nobody's forcing anybody to buy it. And if you already said it sold out, so it's like,
it did its job.
Enough people liked it. So I think that's odd, being that it's not shipping for a whole nother year, that they would cut the sales off. I mean, it's weird that they already set an order number, and it's not going to be here for another year. That's almost like a made to order type situation. But obviously they're not going by that. I don't know, unless it was a timed pre-order for a week and I didn't know that. But
I don't think so, because
yeah,
I feel like it just popped up at the beginning of this week. So if it would have only been a couple days at that point,
yeah,
I will say I kind of get it, because at that point they can be like, oh, it's limited, to try to make sure that they sell enough. And I don't know. All these companies have this idea that they need the third party market to survive, even though they
right.
kind of don't. So that's the only thing I think of, is they're like, the eBay market is what's driving these, and the rarity, that this, that, and the other. It's exclusive. If people want exclusives, they have to be limited and all that BS. So maybe that's the only thing I can think of. Or maybe they're like, hey, we need to make an extra like 20K this year to help with some of the other costs. Let's throw out another Snake Eyes with some extra parts, and charge twice as much as we do normally. And
Yeah, and honestly, I just thought about this as we were sitting here, that it might have been a restriction on, the Jazzwares, or not Jazzwares, but the Fortnite license holder, the
true.
main licensee. It could be a thing that, like, hey, you can do this, but you can only do so many. It can only be on the website or something. So, I mean, it could very much be like what NECA has said in the past has been an issue with their turtles. So that could be too.
But yeah, honestly, I borderline think that might be it. I think about it, it makes way more sense, because Fortnite, with even the Jazzware figures, is very strict. Like, if you go to a
Hmm.
con or Toyfare and you're looking at them, you can't take pictures of the new ones that are coming out, because they
Right.
haven't officially announced them and stuff, and everything's so subject to change and hush hush that makes perfect sense now that I think about it. Um, let's see, let's with the Marvel stuff. I remember getting the Maestro Hawk back with the Toy Biz line, just because I wanted to build Apocalypse, and I always thought he was such a cool figure. This one
Hmm.
looks really badass. I don't think I'll get it, just because I'm still desperately trying to not end up in that hole. Um, I
It's deep.
Yeah.
It's deep. And I've already ordered mine. I was a big Hulk fan, and I really liked the Maestro story, and so this was a figure it's really cool to get in the Hasbro, because the Toy Biz one is really good.
Mhm.
It's still really good. It just doesn't fit in with the current collection because of its such detailed paint
Yeah.
apps. Which, it's weird that the older toys,
Oh
but yeah, they
yeah.
would go kind of crazy with those overbrushes and stuff like that. So it does kind of stick out. But yeah, it's a great character. It's a great way to use. I'm assuming they're using the body of the previous Hulks they've done,
Mhm.
with new heads and maybe new arms and stuff. But yeah, get the use out of that mold while you can. And again, this is like one of those. I don't know if it's specifically fan channel, but I noticed that it went up through those. Um, Seemed to go up through those pre-order channels. And that's what I really like about the fan channel stuff, is this is stuff you don't have to get for a build a figure if you don't want it.
Mhm.
It's just extra cool stuff that doesn't necessarily fit in a wave, or is maybe bigger, but can't do its own build a figure. So they
Yeah.
put them through this way. It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
love the fan channel.
It's a really cool way. I like that they're starting to do these deluxe editions where it's a character that either you've already got as a build a figure before, but now it's a different version of it, or even something like this where it's just not something we've gotten as a build a figure, but it is reusing those Hulk bodies that we've already seen, just getting us more versions of the Hulk, because there have been
Hmm.
so many Hulks. Like, you could
They
go
really
on
have.
for years with just a line of deluxe figures for the Hulk. So
Hmm.
it's really cool to see him doing that. Do you have any stake in this tiny 3 3/4 retro line? Because it looks cool, but
No.
I can't
Yeah.
see a purpose behind it.
Like, they kind of hyped it during the Pulse Con, and I pre-ordered them when the pre-orders went up, and then a couple weeks later, I was like, I don't need these.
Mm.
I didn't really care for the Secret Wars figures in the '80s to begin with. I mean, I did and I didn't. I had a few of them and I liked them, and that's what kind of got me interested in Marvel. But at the same time, I've never had like a deep like return to those. Like, oh, I
Mm.
would really like to have repos of those or new versions of those. But with everything, when you have a successful line, retroize it. Either it be on your current line with the retro card backs like they've been doing, or you take your characters and you make them look like old figures. So
Mm.
they're not for me, but I love it for whoever they're for. I hope they enjoy them and they keep making them and go from there.
I would like it more if it was more like the Star Wars Vintage collection. If they were
Mm-hmm.
like fully articulated figures, just shrunk down. So it's like, oh, I can have Wolverine chilling with Han Solo on the Falcon, or if you bought the
Well,
completely destroyed Razor Crest, you could be like, oh, I can have so and so hanging out with the Mandalorian, or locked up in the brig of the ship or something like
yeah,
that.
they did that though.
Yeah, I remember those two
Bef-
packs, but those I
no, no,
don't.
no. Before that,
Oh,
there was a whole line, Marvel Universe. When Marvel got, or I'm sorry, when Hasbro got the Marvel license from Toy Biz, they did a couple waves of Marvel Legends, and they were terrible. And then they kind of way backed off that scale, and they went into 3 3/4. That's when 3 3/4 was all the rage. That's when Doctor Who went 3 3/4. I think even Mcfarlane put out some 3 3/4 at that time. Everybody was going that scale, and that's when DC started doing those smaller DC Universe figures that were atrocious.
oh yeah, they were bad.
And they made so many. I think there's literally hundreds of them. So I don't know that they would ever go back to that, because it's lots of articulation and lots of detail, where these retro ones, that just was a really long way for me to say that's why they're doing these.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not cost effective, especially at a $10 price point. I just think that it would. I'd probably have more interest in it if it's something where I could do a mixing of
Yeah.
the brands there, and have some crossover, especially since the 3 3/4 line with Star Wars gets ships that are it's somewhat to scale. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
not all of them, but they have been getting better. Where they're like, hey, here's the Razor Crest, and it's 1-to-1 scale with the rest of the line kind of thing. So it'd be cool to see that. I just don't like the 5-point articulation stuff. It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's weird, because it should be for me.
Mhm.
I'm of that era. But for me, it's not always about nostalgia. Sometimes that's powerful, and sometimes that's a reason to go for a line or a specific thing. But it doesn't. I don't necessarily need to relive everything I had as a kid. I still have a lot of what I had as a kid. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm kind of agree with you there. Like, there's some stuff I'm like, okay, I remember that as a kid. I kind of want it, but most stuff I'm like, it's been 30 years. It's time to move on and embrace the future and enjoy how incredible action figures have got
Right.
now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a reason why we pay $86 for an SH Figuarts.
It's
Because
exactly.
we don't want it to just go.
Yeah, we don't want that weird, like, stuck in a statue pose.
Yeah.
Even though we'll still put them in those poses anyway.
Oh yeah.
But we want the
Absolutely.
option to.
hmm
As far as Star Wars, though, I mean, there's a lot there to unpack. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah.
I did pre-order the Mace Windu just because that line as a kid, I
Oh
was,
yeah.
God, that
Yes,
was,
you are of that age.
yeah, I as a kid I enjoyed that movie surprisingly, considering half of it is nothing but politics.
You should.
So I the only thing I wish, actually the only thing that really disappoints me is they can't really keep doing this going forward, because Phantom Menace is kind of the peak before they changed how they did the Star Wars figures. Because when you got to Attack of the Clones, they had all new packaging. They were more so in like specific like weird poses and stuff, but they still had articulation, which made no sense.
Yeah, some of the Attack of the Clones figures were terrible. The weirdest articulation.
Yeah, like,
And
I just remember having an Anakin Skywalker. He was stuck in this like crab leg pose, but his arms were fully posable, so I could put his arms in any position. But his legs were just in this terrible pose that if I didn't do it just right, he'd fall over anyway.
Yep.
And the cards for those sucked. And then by the time they got to Revenge of the Sith, they had upgraded to essentially what the vintage collection is now. Like, that's where that all kind of started.
Yeah.
Like, they had the full like bowl joint for the shoulders and the bendable elbows and knees and stuff. So it kind of makes me sad that that's going to be kind of where that line ends. Is with Phantom Menace.
Could and it couldn't. One, I mean, they could still do those card backs. I mean, obviously the figures would be way better, but they could still, as bad as some of them were, they could.
But the card backs for Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith were shit. Like, Attack of the Clones were these big, like, square
Yeah,
bubbles on
it's
this
very
straight
generic.
card.
Blue card, it's just
Yeah.
drab.
And then
Yeah.
the Revenge of the Sith, it was this weird like Vader helmet like shape, and then the card was still kind of Vader helmet shape. It was all sorts of
So like
wonky.
they can totally still do that,
It wouldn't do
but
well though.
no, I mean probably not. I'll be interested to see how well these do. Although the Phantom Menace ones are a Best Buy exclusive, which is weird. I'm getting the Qui-Gon because it's a photoreal face, and
That's what I've heard
it
a lot
looks
of
way
people
better.
say is that they wanted to
Yeah,
replace their old one.
yeah, that or a lot of people didn't get it. He's a tough one to come across. So that one definitely is getting got, I guess. The Mace Windu is awesome, and on that card for sure. The figure itself is exactly the same as we already had because he already had photoreal. So the thing for me, I didn't get the Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi that came on those cards at Celebration. I think that was 2019. So for me, the appeal of getting them all and keeping them all on card is kind of not there, which on the complete flip side of that, those Amazon exclusives, I have the Boba Fett from San Diego and the 4LOM and Succus that are the Kenner actual, style of figure, not just the card back. And I actually really like those way more than I like just the card back. The card back is fine. It's neat. It's again, nostalgia from my childhood. And this is even more so because it's in those Kenner colors and like the plastic cape on Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, that's the beginning. That's action figure history there. So to pay homage to that, I find more fulfilling than just putting them on vintage card backs. And if all of that is hypocritical to something I've already said, yes. That's just how I feel about some things and not others. So I don't know what to tell you.
And spoiler alert, at some point we will have an entire episode dedicated to the insanity that is in both of our heads. But that is not this episode.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mostly got Mace Windu just because, as far as prequels go, he's probably, by the end of it, one of the coolest characters. And it's
he's a bad motherfucker, and it's on a red foil card. I mean, that's...
part of me hopes that this opens the door to actually go backwards rather than forwards, and we get some of the Power of the Force style figures with the Black Series,
really
with
cool.
Those cards. Like, that'd be absolutely incredible, especially if they did some of the extended universe stuff. Like, I remember there was a Dark Empire Luke Skywalker that was like my favorite Luke Skywalker, and he had like the maroon armor and the helmet and stuff, and I'm like, that is what I want on a Power of the Force style card with the new Black Series. Like, make that happen, and I will unfortunately break down and buy these figures.
That is Star Wars for a whole generation of kids. I mean, that's prime time when I was working at Toys R Us, and there was tons of kids that were coming in for Star Wars figures based on the original trilogy because they were Power of the Force. I mean, that's a huge, and they're not worth anything now, but that was because idiots at the time thought they would be, and they bought them just in bulk. But again, nostalgia. It's definitely more your time frame than mine. By this time,
I was one of those kids who was at Toys R Us while you were working there, getting these. My Luke Skywalker had pecs and looked like He-Man, and it made no sense to me nowadays. But back then, I was like, I'm motherfucking Luke Skywalker. Look at me in my cool X-wing.
That he can't fit in.
Yeah, he's a little too wide.
Because he was too massive.
I mean, I feel like that's a good problem to have. When you're too jacked to fit in your spaceship, then I feel like you've made it. As far as the vintage collection stuff, if I was more into this line, which I deep down in my soul I want to, but I can't just because I don't have the space or the money to invest in a line so massive, because I'd only want it to get in scale vehicles. Because it's, oddly enough, usually significantly cheaper than it is to get in scale vehicles for the 112 line.
Yes.
But I do like that they're doing actual like Clone Wars characters in their Clone Wars style to kind of be the reverse of the Black Series line, which is going with more of like trying to fit that mold of, okay, these may not be the characters from the show yet, but they are more realistic looking, so they fit in with the rest of yours. And so, like, I think that was like General Thrawn. They just had the anniversary one came out, and he doesn't look like super like animated, but he looks like he could just be like fit in with the other characters from the movies, and you wouldn't think
Yep.
twice. But
Until we get one from a show,
yeah, which I mean will probably
because
be
that's
next
coming.
year. Yeah, especially with
Yep.
him probably showing up in Mandalorian, or if nothing else in the Ahsoka show.
Yeah.
So he'll be
I
coming.
I was really I was happy that Ahsoka was coming out because we've already gotten that one in Black Series, but I a little jealous of that Darth Maul because any more Mauls we can get in the line is really cool. So hopefully we'll see him then in Black Series. I did order both of those just because one Ahsoka stuff can get so hard to get later if you
Yeah,
want to get it.
she's such a
So
popular
I just kind
character.
of that and Maul. I'm just like I'm gonna get these for now just in case. So that way, if I don't know, inexplicably they show up on Mandalorian, I already have them.
I especially after they teased him on in Solo, I want new legs Darth Maul to show up in
Yeah.
Mandalorian or one of these spin-off shows so bad.
Oh, I definitely think that they could do it in like either Lando or I think even I don't think I don't know about the Cassian Andor one because I mean I think he's finally dead like about 3 or 4 years before Star Wars before the original.
Yeah,
So
he's
I think
dead in by the time we get to Mandalorian, so he can't show up in that. I
yeah.
would assume he has to show up in Obi-Wan, right?
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know because like his final moments are with Obi-Wan on Tatooine in
Mm-hmm.
Rebels. So I don't know if they're going to redo that in the show, which would be cool. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't mind it as long as it still fits within what has already been said.
Canonized, yeah.
Um, yeah, but we shall see. But yeah, those were all great. But the Black Series is more what I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
What they revealed is great. I really like the pipeline reveals. I like that they talked about what's coming. I'm still a little disappointed that we do already have Bo-Katan. We do already have. I only know her as Sasha Banks as well, even though I don't know wrestling. But like, where's Boba Fett? Like, they had to know.
Right, where's Dad
That,
bod Boba Fett?
right. Like, I feel like there should be like a 2-pack of Cobb Vanth and Boba Fett in his robe outfit, and you get one set of armor
That'd be
of the
kind of
jacked up armor, and you can either put it on one or the other. And then later on, they would come out with like the repainted,
cool. Mm-hmm.
Boba Fett in full armor. But it's like, come on, like that is printing money. I mean, everything that they put Boba Fett on is sought after, let alone something that he got to actually live up to the hype in.
Right? Like finally, after
Yeah.
50 years, they're like, guess what? We're gonna make Boba
Yeah.
Fett legitimately badass, not just
Yeah.
imaginary badass.
Yeah, we're gonna see him, split open stormtrooper helmets
Oh, that was an
with
incredible.
with a gaffy stick. Yeah, yeah. So I'm just like, okay, come on, guys. The only thing I can think of is maybe they're gonna do something, maybe around San Diego, because normally the San Diego exclusive is then released in the regular line, just without a few accessories.
Yeah.
So I could see them doing something with Boba Fett for that, but
That's my guess is you'll probably get a Boba Fett that you can dress down, like you can take his armor off and he's just in his like tunic gown dress thing. So you can have him just beating up random stormtroopers that way. Maybe he'll come with like a shattered stormtrooper helmet, and then the re-release will just be actually just stuck on him, and you might be able to take his helmet off, kind of thing. That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
But moving on from Hasbro, Mezco.
Did we cover everything? Did we get through all of that?
I feel like we did. I mean, we kind of glazed over some of the Star Wars, but you can only spend so much time on it. So
right.
Don't want to
for sure.
Don't want people to tune out too quickly in the show. Mezco put up pre-orders for their Marvel Comics Morbius, which includes a multi-layer mobile science lab with light-up function, which includes an test tube mixer, which is not removable, a mini computer, which is also not removable. However, the rest of these are. You get another test tube, which is removable, a beaker, a hematology analyzer, a foldable microscope, a dagger, a hammer, 2 stakes, customized handgun, and then you get his display base with the logo on it. Morbius is $85 on Mezco.com and is expected to ship between September and November of this year, but I wouldn't hold your breath because they're about as bad as Mofex at this point. Despite the fact that they did send out a massive email letting people know they are trying to catch up with all of the pre-orders that they've taken and to expect several figures, which also named a few of them in the email, to start charging and also shipping in the next month or so. So prepare your wallets for that if you've pre-ordered some stuff. They also had their Asia exclusive, which is a character from their little Gomez verse, and his name is Krig, or I guess the faction he's with is Krig. And he went up for order on AsiaGold.com, which normally these overseas Asia Gold figures are part of a convention, and that's the only way you can get them. This year, because they're on the website, depending on which version of the website you were on, some people were able to get international shipping and pay to have it shipped to the U.S. He was limited to roughly 1,000 pieces, and he looks to have a lot of reuse body-wise from Cable's armor. He does have a new head sculpt. He has a new helmet, a large slew of different weapons that were all new molds. Mezco fans have pointed out, though, in the sticker sheet he comes with, there are other versions or troops of this type of character that we may see as the color variants like we did with the Gomez Ninjas.
Okay.
So we are going to potentially get a yellow set of Murder Hornets, a black set of Black Spartans, and like a whitish blue of Pale Divers. My guess is these will probably be the next 3, like probably Toyfare, Comic-Con, and New York Comic-Con exclusives that we'll see by the end of the year. I know that there have been some leaked images from the factory of the black version's accessories and hands, so that one is already in the works. So my guess is that's going to probably be the exclusive that they also said would be available this month to to order, because it will be considered in stock and ship shortly after payment. So keep an eye out for that. But I did pre-order Morbius, mostly just because
I wondered.
Just because of the accessories on that one.
Yep.
Like the lab and stuff, I'm like, that's too cool. The Morbius figure
As you're reading
itself,
them off, I'm like, he's got to get those.
because I was like, oh, there's so much stuff I could use this stuff for.
Yeah.
So like all of that was enough to make me buy it, especially because he was on the lower side. Like Mezco figures have been kind of like climbing in price, and it's nice to finally have like a little bit of a downhill back to that $80 to $85 range. So I was like, for that price, I'll get him. I don't know if I'll end up keeping Morbius himself. The figure is kind of iffy to me. Like, I've never been a huge.
It's weird. It's way more classic than I expected, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, usually they kind of do their own little Mezco-ized thing, and this one just kind of seems to play it safe.
It does. If you look at the lighting, he does have some weird textures on his suit, though. So they made sure to get you that Mezco flair one way or the other. But yeah,
right.
It is very much just like old first appearance spandex style Morbius, just with a more like updated "I'm gonna murder you" like facial scan. So
yeah,
I can't be too angry about that. I will say I have no interest in the Krig character, but some of the accessories are kind of cool. So I did try to get the red version that they put up, but unfortunately I was on the Taiwan site and not the Hong Kong one, and Taiwan was pick up in person only, or pick up at a 7-Eleven in Taiwan, because apparently that's a thing. Apparently our 7-Elevens are just a little behind the curve here.
Yeah, they're slacking.
You can pick up high-end action figures at the fucking 7-Elevens in Taiwan.
That doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me.
They get
either.
all the cool shit.
But I did try, and then it wouldn't let me choose anything. And so I went to the Facebook groups. And I'm like, well, I couldn't get it to give me international shipping. And they're like, oh, it's because you didn't go to the Hong Kong one. I'm like, well, fuck me, because that bitch sold out in like 2 minutes. So,
yeah.
But I don't care enough about it to be like, oh, I need to spend $500 to $1,000 on eBay on it. I'll just wait for the black version or the
I was
pale.
gonna say they're gonna release multiple.
Yeah, they love these things. So I
it's a cheap way to use some reuse some parts and some materials, make some excitement around their own IP, and it keeps people interested. I think it's a great idea, and it's definitely not like a must-have.
Yeah, it's not like a DC or Marvel figure where it's like, oh, my collection's incomplete without it. It's just their own IP. I mean, granted, at this point, it almost feels like they're just kit bashing their own stuff in order to put things out, because they've realized that most of these own IP figures end up just being used for kit bashes. Like almost every single custom I have on my shelf has parts from one of the Gomez figures just as the base, because they it's like, oh, there's a dude in a suit jacket, I can use that to make like a different type of Joker or a Bruce Wayne or an Alfred, like, so they know what they're doing. They know how to get our money.
It's working.
It is. It's taking a lot of my money. Speaking of a company that doesn't take a lot of my money, though, and that is Diamond Select, and they just had the Lord of the Rings Select Series 1 figures announced and available for pre-order. You can get Legolas and Gimli for $49.99 on Big Bad Toy Store, and each comes with a Build-A-Figure part, so eventually when you get all the figures, you can build Sauron. And I'm not gonna lie, as a kid who was in middle school when Lord of the Rings came out and like thought it was just the coolest fucking thing ever, had all the figures, had the giant tree people, all of that stuff, these figures look incredible, and I'm like, I don't want these. I don't want these.
Yeah, I still have all those Lord of the Rings figures from when they were coming out from Toy Biz.
Wow.
I bought into that stuff too. I was actually in my first apartment. When the second one came out, I think it was, yeah. But we're coming up on 20 years that Fellowship of the Ring came out. 2001. That's nuts.
Yeah. Man, that makes you feel old.
Yeah. So I don't know that I want to fall down this path, also because Diamond Select has been really iffy lately, and there's such a big cast for that to feel complete. Like if I just get Legolas and Gimli, I don't know.
It's not one of those it's not like it's like a bag of chips. Once you start, you're not going to stop, because you're going to want the entire Fellowship.
At the very least.
And then you're going to want some bad guys and stuff too at some point, especially if you're going to have Sauron. I feel like if there was a point where I was like, okay, I just want some representation of Lord of the Rings on my shelf, these two would be it, because those two were my favorite characters in the movies, just because they had this weird rivalry throughout the entire thing where they had like a kill count against each other. And I feel like I almost want to get these, but at the same time, like you said, Diamond Select is so iffy. Like it's not even lately. I feel like it's just been like an always thing. 'Cause even when they did like the Marvel figures more often back in the day, those still weren't like anything incredible.
Right.
Like, they looked good, but they usually were borderline statues. So they'd really have to wow me to get me to want to buy into these. And I also found it weird on Big Bad Toy Store, because I was checking for the pre-orders and stuff. You can't buy these two separate on there. At least I couldn't find them separately. They only had them together, but they're packaged separately, which made no sense to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I may have noticed that. I think I looked at them. I may have even tossed them in my cart a couple times, but I just can't. I don't think I can do it.
I mean, in your defense, you at least still have the old Toy Biz figures.
I do. And they weren't
bad.
They're a little action feature heavy, but they're still cool looking figures. I had them on display up until maybe just a few years ago. I finally took them down. I was buying them. I bought through all three movies, and then when they went to that smaller card, I started to really taper off. So all the really good, cool ones that are worth a ton of money are the ones that were released later on those tiny cards. And so
that's usually how it works.
Yeah,
because they used to have those huge like cards. And
the big rounded.
The ring was the actual like opening for
they were
the window.
Such a pain in the ass to get into.
Yeah, it was awful. Like the only thing worse.
Do you remember then the Toy Biz X-Men movie figures?
Yeah.
how big those were too.
Yeah.
Man, Toy Biz they just put their balls out in the early 2000s and was like, yeah, this is how we're gonna do it.
Well, even
Plastic,
yeah,
the environment be damned.
I'm pretty sure that like Toy Biz's Marvel Legends line is like half the reason we have global warming at this point. Like that was just a
Yeah,
giant clamshell that you couldn't get into unless you cut into
right.
it, and
It's like a blowtorch to the back.
and even then you had to be careful because it had a comic book in it. And you're like, well, I don't want to damage the
Yeah,
comic book, so like you're trying to gently rip this thing open. You're cutting your hands because it's all
yeah.
thin
Because
plastic.
you pull it too hard and then you slice your hand
And
open.
you're like, now I have to go to the ER, and I'm gonna have a huge bill from that. And it was, man, Toy Biz is no wonder that they didn't last.
Just saying, man. They went maybe a little. The hubris was high
Oh yeah,
in the early 2000s with
they,
Toy Biz.
they were like, we are the shit, and we know it, and
Hmm.
they did not hide it at all. Speaking of a company that basically is a little more modest, but they are pretty much the shit at this point, and that's Super7, which is going to lead us into our next story. They put up pre-orders for the Thundercats Ultimates Thundertank. The tank will cost $450 and a flat rate shipping of $40, with an option of payment plan available. Pre-orders will close April 2nd, so this time around they're doing a full almost 2 months to be able to pre-order this, so you have more than enough time.
Oh, April 2nd. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah.
And it is expected to ship in first quarter of 2022. Super 7 also confirmed that the Godzilla Ultimates line will be the Toho monsters for, with the exception of King and Mega Kong, and also Gamera, just because he is not owned by Toho. They also announced the Power Rangers line after we recorded last week, which will have both reaction figures and a confirmed Ultimates wave, one of the Yellow Ranger, Green Ranger, Goldar, and Tyrannosaurus Dinozord. And as far as the Power Rangers go, I'm excited but hesitant. I'm almost hoping that my worst fear is true, so I don't buy them. I think they're gonna, since obviously the Playmates figures for the Turtles, that was their kind of stylized too. I was able to make it work for a more comic book version to justify it. But the old Power Ranger figures, they don't hold up. They don't look good nowadays. So I'm not sure what
I
they're
don't
gonna
think
do
that's what they're
to.
going to do. I think they're going to do regular, somewhat realistic stuff. I listened to the interview that Pixel Dan did with Brian Flynn,
Mhm.
where a lot of this came from, and he wants to go real deep. So it's interesting that that Hasbro one is allowing this. Like the Transformers one makes some sense because they're doing non-transforming large 7-inch scale. And I found out that two of the ones that they're doing were ones that came out late in the line that didn't transform anyway. So
Mhm.
those have never been remade in any way. So like that all made sense to me. But the Power Rangers is weird because it is I feel like a direct competition with their Lightning collection.
Oh yeah, 100%. If they knocked this out of the park, I would buy these over the Lightning collection, because you're not gonna be able to compare. For $25 extra. You get a significantly better action figure with more accessory. Like,
Right. So I'm definitely looking at these for monsters and villains, and like Brian said, a lot of the Zords and stuff were going to be, you know, not in scale, but a lot like their Voltron. That's that large robot,
mhm.
scale, but it won't be an exact scale. But I would pick up a few of those because I know Hasbro's not going to do those.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm hoping that that we're wrong and they do try to do something more like the old toys, because I don't want this to be a thing. I don't want to be like, I suddenly now need a Power Rangers line. Like, I'm
Hmm.
content with my Lord Draken figure that I've got just as representation of Power Rangers on my shelf. And I feel like if they do deep dive in this and even potentially just follow more of like the comic books rather than the show almost, then I'm gonna be living in a studio apartment with Jamar, helping him pay alimony, because it's
Hmm.
gonna get real bad real quick.
Hmm.
Um,
That's what's going to happen.
yeah,
I hate to tell you.
I am curious to see how the Zord stuff works, because
Yeah.
I'm curious if, like, oh, if you buy the one from each wave, if they are transformable and you can turn them into the Megazord, or if they're going to be like,
I doubt
there's
it.
that, and then you have the Megazord separate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more like that.
Oh,
But
I feel
what'll
like
be
it's a wasted
cool about
opportunity.
if they do the Zords though as that size figure, their Goldar is going to be able to fight with that, which is cool because then they're like the giant versions of.
Well,
So like that's the problem with the Legacy collection is Goldar is just the same size as the Rangers. There's no large size and there's no small Zord. I happen to keep the one for that Bandai did for their Build-A-Figures, so I can actually take those monsters and pair them up against the Zord that's in a proper scale. But this is a great way to maybe do those.
True. My only problem is like, then why do the Dinozords so quickly? Why not start off with like the Megazord? Because I don't think, if ever, at least in my memory, would you watch the show and it's the Dinozords fighting the big bad. It's always that long sequence of them riding through the desert, which just happened to be out of the city, and then they, all combined and make the Megazord, and then that's when you get into the cool kaiju battle. So, like, why start with like the Tyrannosaurus?
That's where you want to start poking holes in Power Rangers, let alone the fact that what is the town's name? Angel Grove suddenly has skyscrapers and a giant mountain in the background. Like, where did that come from?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of problems with that show, but my thing is more so not.
That's
I'm
your
not
hill that you're gonna die on. Though.
I'm not poking holes in the show. I'm poking holes in the logic of having the dinosaurs in the line so early.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm saying that like the dinosaurs didn't have any presence in the show. They'd ride through the desert, which was just outside the town, and then transform and then fight in this giant skyscraper city, as you mentioned, as the Megazord. So why not start with the Megazord and then you have Godar versus the Megazord? Like that would be a badass Wave 1 option right there versus like the individual dinosaurs. I don't know, they're cool, but unless they transform into the big one to make even a bigger one, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me.
You're not wrong.
I'm glad that we established that after you thought I was more concerned with, Power Rangers makes no sense. I'm also super curious to see.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. I'm more interested in the Godzilla line, honestly. I feel like that's gonna be the line that takes my money, because if they do it right and these figures have the look of like a NECA style figure, but the articulation and accessories of a Super 7 figure, I'm gonna have to sell my soul or something and hope to win the lottery, because that's gonna be a line that I deep dive in, because NECA hasn't given me and never will give me any of the like big bads. So like, you open that door, let me get a Godzilla and a bunch of his enemies. Oh man, take my money now.
Yeah. No, I can't agree more. Like when I found out that NECA didn't have the license anymore, I was like, okay, somebody else has got it then, because something is prohibiting them from doing it. And hearing I had heard kind of whispers of Godzilla doing, or them doing reaction figures, and I'm like, oh, if they do Ultimates as well. And the fact that they said that they're going to do all the Toho monsters, with the exception of King Kong and Mecha Kong, because they don't own those.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't even know what to say. Like I love Godzilla, and if I can get a bunch of, and if they only do the Showa era, I'm fine with that too. Like, as much as I would like, stuff from the Heisei or Millennium series, I would be totally okay if they just did nothing but Showa stuff, but gave us everything.
Yeah. I do hope that they give us a large variety overall, especially if they end up doing most of the Ultimates, unless it ends up being like the one-offs, like the Ghost stuff. They usually end up being a wave of 4, so you're probably Godzilla and 3 other monsters. So you could do the different Godzillas with the monsters that are from that era, every wave, and you just they have a swimming pool filled with my cash in it is what would happen at that point.
No, Super 7 is quickly, proving to be after all of my money. Like I I can't stress how much that I did not care about Thundercats. I did not care. And then I saw pictures of that first wave, and I went, you know what? I don't know. I think I'm going to order them. And then I got them, and I love them, and I totally don't regret getting them. I am so happy that I got them because you can't get that first wave now.
Mm.
And then when they announced, $450 for the Thunder Tank, and I was like, fuck you. I'll probably still get it.
You're like, there's a payment plan, you say?
Yeah, I'm such a sucker when it comes to that made to order stuff, because then I'm like, if I miss out,
it's done.
I'm never going to get it cheaper than I can get it right now.
That's my big problem, is the FOMO, because it's like, if I change my mind, and I've already been affected by it, because me and Jamar actively shit on the turtles before they finally released the first wave. We were like, these look so like mediocre. The Playmates figures weren't that great. I'd rather have Neca. And now I'm like, I pose my Raph and Leo, and soon to be Bebop if they ever show up, more than I do my Neca stuff. Like they've just killed it, and I had to pay more for Raph, and I chose to pay more for Leo just because I was impatient. But I still ended up getting my pre-order from Big Bad, so I had a second one so I could make my Dark Leo from the City Fall comics. But yeah, they've completely changed my mind, and the fact that they're stealing all these other licensing, like with Power Rangers and Transformers. I have on Big Bad Toy Store a pre-order for the massive Starscream that looks so much like the cartoon but still transforms. Just because I'm like, I loved that Starscream, and most of the time if you get that color scheme, it looks like a normal Transformer figure. It's got all the ugly creases and lines in it that just kind of take away from the feel. I don't give a shit if he turns into an airplane. You give me one that like just looks like the cartoon, I'll buy it. I am sad that they put him in wave 1 of the Transformers, but it's Ghost Starscream, so I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, well, it's because no one had ever made one before, and so that's why they wanted to put some big names in there, but also make them different versions that nobody had. So that's like the Optimus comes with a basketball and a surfboard, because that happens in episodes.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the detail that they're doing. So I can't. And if anybody has any reservations, I mean, I think now they're really in the swing of things as far as getting things going. Yes, you have to wait a long time if you order up front. I saw that you did order the Ghost one up front. I ordered 2 from Super7, and then I ordered another one from Big Bad.
Just in case.
Well, because I think my wife's going to take the 2, and I think she's going to do the 2 different looks. And I think I just want to keep one in the box because the box looks so cool. I think from now on, I'm just going to order direct, because I know now that they're going to deliver. They've never not delivered on something. Obviously, if you don't want to order up front, you don't want to have it used for like that full year, Big Bad's going to have you at the exact same price. You just have to pay for it when it comes in stock, which is what we've been doing.
Because
yeah, you do have to wait a while. I mean, that is the price you pay. You either pay it all up front or you wait. But the other thing is too, like it's either this option or it's they make a certain amount and they misjudge and it sells out, or there's too many. They could lose that way. So I think the made to order method for them, it's working, and I don't see a reason to change it at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely that like double-edged sword. You've got I have to wait a year for it, but at the same time it's like they always deliver. They look great, and I found myself, I paid $5 extra to get Leo a month ahead of time before even Big Bad said, hey, we're going to be charging you in like the next couple of days. Keep an eye out. Make sure you have money.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something going forward. Like I probably will end up pre-ordering straight from them if I have the money to do it, just because no matter what, when a local shop gets it and puts it on their website, I'm just going to pay the extra to get it instead of waiting for Big Bad anyway, so why
Yeah.
not? Yeah, they're killing it. I can't wait to see all these other figures in the next year. I can't wait for more turtle figures. I
Hmm.
just want to have the 4 turtles all together. I already want it to
That
be
part's been
next.
hard.
I want it to be next January already. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about 2021. Let's move to 2022. I want me some Donatello
Yeah,
and
why
Mikey to
not?
be in hand.
Yep.
But moving on to another company that we love, and this one, I'm very curious if this is more up your alley, and that is Tamashii Nations released some new images of their upcoming SH Figuarts Shin Ultraman figure based on the upcoming 2021 film. The figure should be releasing in June of 2021 and is available for pre-order in Big Bad Toy Store for $57.99. I know you're into the Japanese version of the Power Rangers. You don't like the Americanized version. Is Ultraman something that you were into or are into?
Sort of. Um, uh, I think it's Mill Creek, the company, has been putting them out on Blu-ray,
Mm-hmm.
starting with the original series Ultra Q and then going in the order from the 70s. And I've been getting them. I just finished Ultra Q, which really wasn't connected to Ultraman at all, even though it was. It's really
Mm-hmm.
weird. So I'm now just starting Ultraman, and I saw this figure, and it looks like the original Ultraman, so I ordered it. I was like, I gotta have this.
I figured
So
it'd either be something where it was like you were into it, or you would solely get it because it does have a connection to Godzilla, because I'm pretty sure there
yeah,
has been movies where Ultraman shows up. I vaguely remember them. It's been so long. But
well, they used a lot of the Godzilla costumes in Ultraman, just redesigned with
mhm.
a horn or different ears and stuff like that. So there's a not a direct connection, but definitely a connection.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cousin kind of situation.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I figured that'd be something you'd be into. I am curious though, since this one's called Shin Ultraman, if we can expect to see a crossover with the very weird looking Shin Godzilla.
that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if that's a thing they plan to do, because that's a weird thing to just add in front of his name after all these years.
It, I don't. I'm not good at Japanese. Does that have to do with the return or a return? Is that anything like that, or redo, or because like Shin Godzilla was kind of like almost like a remake
Mm-hmm.
style sequel type thing. So I don't know if that's what this is then, and that's why he looks so much like the original version. So I don't know.
I don't know. If you are fluent in Japanese culture and know it, or if
Hmm.
you're just a weeb and know, let us know what Shin has to do,
Yeah,
if any of it, in the comments below.
yeah.
Um, in some more somber news, though, Toys R Us US has died for the second time, announcing that due to the events of 2020, they will be closing the 2 newly opened stores while leaving the door open to potentially reopening new stores down the road. I'm not shocked. I mean, the location they put these stores in made no sense. Like, you put one in Texas and one in New Jersey. New Jersey, okay, it's close to New York. Probably you could get, some traffic. I can't imagine that Texas is a huge, like, Toys R Us epicenter that people are like, that's where I want
Yeah,
to go.
yeah. New Jersey does make sense because their headquarters is there.
Mm-hmm.
So that, or at least it was.
Yeah, the
I
original
don't know if
company's
that's still
headquarters,
the.
but this current Toys R Us is not the original. It was whoever bought the rights
Oh,
to the name when they were liquidating everything.
that's right.
So
So yeah,
they
it wasn't them anyway.
yeah, so it wasn't our Toys R Us. This was an imposter who showed up and was like, "Hey guys, I'm Toys R Us. Remember me?" And we're like, "You're not the fucking real deal. The real deal is in Canada
Yeah.
getting free healthcare." Um,
And getting all the Walmart exclusives, and the shelves are just full of them.
and they're full in
It's
general. I
incredible.
watch so many toy hunters that live in Canada, and they go to Toys R
Oh,
Us, and it's just no empty pegs. And I go to Target or Walmart, and like I'll have some sections that are full and overflowing, and others that are empty. And then when those ones get full, the other ones are empty. There's never a consistent, like, you walk into a toy
no.
aisle and you have that feeling of, this is a toy aisle. This is what I grew up
Yep.
with. Um, it's depressing. But yeah, they closed both just because, obviously, due to conditions, business was probably even below subpar at that point. But they did say that they are keeping an eye on the market and what the consumer demands are to consider things in the future. I don't know if that means if they're going to reopen ToysRUs.com and become an e-retailer and try to compete with Big Bad Toy Store and other like in Dorkside Collectibles and all those, or if it just means, hey, we're going to try to find 2 new locations for Toys R Us's. I also feel like 2 locations also wasn't good. Like I feel like yeah, they a lot of bad
To be
decisions.
honest, I'd forgotten that this was even happening. Like that was even a thing.
I only remember because it happened and I was super excited, and then I watched a video of someone going to the one in New Jersey, and it's not Toys R Us. Like it's literally just a mall store with a bunch of little kids' toys.
Yeah.
Like they took out the entire third of the store that was devoted to collectors. There was no Legos, there were no action figures, there was no like more grown up like Barbie-esque like collectibles. It was just literally, it looked almost like if you like, spoiler alert, I used to be from Ohio, Nate is from Ohio. There are shops there that are like mom and pop shops, and they have a lot of more like not like even name brand toys, but they're like, oh, here's some like miniature figures of animals and some Lincoln logs. Like it was more of that. It was more of like a mom and pop shop style of toys for like little kids that your grandmother would get for little Timmy, who's like, I play Fortnite, Grandma. What the fuck is this garbage? So like,
give me my snake eyes.
It just didn't make any sense to me. Like that was their hill that they decided to put Toys R Us on, and then it was like, yeah, that's not gonna last. But rounding out the news though, Neca has teased a new Universal Ultimate Monsters line with a preview image of the 7-inch classic Universal Monsters Frankenstein's monster, along with giving us official images of the timed Walmart exclusive classic poster art King Kong figure set to ship later this month. Both of these are very exciting because I know my cousin Jake, who we've talked about, well, me and Jamar talk about on the show quite a bit. He's been looking for something to collect, and he loves Universal Monsters. So this is right up his alley. And I've already been falling in love with this King Kong figure since it leaked 2 weeks ago. But now I'm just like, the fact that it's officially like the poster version, I'm like, I've got the poster version of Godzilla. This is perfect. They could be next to each other on the shelf, and I'm so excited. Sad that it's, gonna be timed exclusive and be at Walmart first, because that means for the first 6 months I won't find it, but at least that means eventually Target will get it and I'll have a chance.
Yeah. Now God damn it, Mike. I had talked myself out of this. I don't need this, but I have that poster Godzilla.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I do need this.
You do.
Damn it.
I mean, it's just like I have the Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong, and I have that one fighting the last King Kong we got, so now I have to have the posterized Godzilla versus the posterized King Kong. It's basic math. Come on, Nate.
No. Yeah.
I mean, at first,
no, I don't need it.
Honestly, I still wanted it before, but the fact that it was the poster art just kind of made me really want it, because for us, it's like, oh, this is a cool, like, weird rave Godzilla. I'm into this. Like, throw some black lights on, give him some ecstasy, and just watch him go. But yeah, like, this version, like, just became so much cooler now that's the poster art. Yeah.
And they've been teasing that they've gotten the Universal license for a while without showing anything. So this was really cool to see. I'm curious to see, like, if it'll be black and white figures, or if it'll be color figures just with colors muted, or what. Like, I love the Universal designs. I got a few of the Diamond Select figures, but again, I hate to bash on Diamond Select. I just didn't dig them as figures, and so I didn't keep them. So I've often though wanted a nice Universal Monsters collection, and it would be interesting to see, how far they go, because there's been this renewed interest in the Universal Monsters here recently.
Which is surprising after the failed Mummy movie that was supposed to open up that universe again. I will say, knowing NECA, though, and how much they love to have reuse and be able to re-release figures as variants and stuff, if nothing else, you'll either A, have both versions in different waves, or you'll have the colored version as the store releases, and then they'll have an exclusive version of the black and white at some point.
Yep.
That's just my guess. I'm excited to see the rest of the line besides Frankenstein's monster. Like, I'd love to see Dracula and the creature from the Black Lagoon and
Wolfman, the Invisible Man,
Yeah.
the Bride. There's so many in there that would be great.
Yeah, which, I mean, this is going to sound real weird, but as a kid, the Burger King toys of those were my kind of introduction to those like characters, and those were some of my favorite toys. Like, I loved it. Like, you had the Wolfman burst out of a box, and you had the Dracula that would pop out of his coffin. Like, they were just so cool, and they were some of the only like Burger King Happy Kids Meal toy things that actually felt like action figures versus just being like here's this character on this thing with wheels and you pull it back and it goes. Like, it was kind of cool to be able to put them with like my Batman and stuff from like the Kenner line.
That's awesome.
One thing I did forget to mention earlier, which works out perfect since we're on the topic of NECA, and that was when we were talking about NECA losing the Godzilla license, and you were talking about how you're like, oh, I think it might be going to Super7 since they mentioned Reaction. Randy was so salty about that. Like, when someone mentioned it to him on Twitter and asked him about it, he's like, yeah, there's not going to be any representation in the States for Godzilla now. Well, clearly that's not true, Randy. Like, your tweet did not age well, because it's staying in the States. It's just not staying with you guys, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm really curious just, how that deal went down, because, Brian Flynn says they're able to do all the monsters, and Randy always said that they were never able to do any of the other monsters. So what happened? What?
I still think it's just NECA being afraid of their own shadow, not getting in their own way. They're too afraid to be like, look, we've proven our success, let us do more, to ever ask. They just stick with the deal at hand and just be happy that they have it. Speaking of NECA, though, that leads us into the Turtle Watch 2021. That's about as much excitement as I get out of Jamar every week. Except for usually he just sits there and stares at me like I'm stupid. So at least you pretended to be excited. We did get not a lot for Turtle Watch, so don't get too excited. But we got a surprise pre-order drop for the NECA store website of the 1990 TMNT movie Shredder and Splinter 2-pack and the Foot Soldier 2-pack. These look like they will be made to order pre-orders much like the ones we got in the fall, so don't cry for 6 goddamn months when they haven't shipped yet, because that's how made to order works.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I'm waiting a year for fucking Donatello from Super7. You can wait 6 months for them to have a shipment of figures that have been out in stores for a while.
Yeah.
So, God, that's the most annoying thing ever, is everyone in the groups going, man, I still haven't gotten my Metalhead pre-order from August. It's been 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, these are made to order. It baffles me.
Oh, I had a guy on Instagram just get into a big argument with me. Where does it say these were made to order? I was like, they said that at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Like, it doesn't say it on the website, I'll give you that. But if you found out about these on their website and not from all of their social media or the press tour that Randy made trying to save face during the shit show that was the summer of Turtles last year, then that's on you. Like, you didn't do your research. Like, that's on no one else. Like, these were very much so expressed as made to order. They were not in stock. That's why they were listed as pre-orders. So just don't cry about it.
I'm hoping they'll do that with the 4 Turtles. I would like another set.
I want another set because
those...
I'm doing my wrapped up like wrists and feet turtles, so I need 2 of each to be able to have still a normal set in that set. And unfortunately, I only have extras of Leo and Raph, which sucks because, of course, they're not packed in the 2-pack together, so I still have to get an extra Leo and an extra Raph to be able to get my extra Donnie and Mikey.
Yeah, I want to, because I got the turtle accessory set, and I want to swap out the heads, but I'm not. I have the original San Diego release. I'm not I'm not pulling those heads off.
You don't want to risk that one.
Nope. Nope. I would love to get a brand new figure and try it on that. No, thank you. Otherwise, they're just going to go on some headstands and they'll go next to it, and that'll be it.
I don't blame you for that at all. That's also like part of the reason why I'm holding out and trying to get the 2-packs is because all of mine are from the single releases at GameStop, which are pretty much the same as the ones at Comic-Con, which not to say these ones are going to be much different anyway, but there's a good chance they've maybe retooled them a little bit to be easier to pop off those heads since they just did an accessory bundle.
Yeah.
So I want to do that. I'm going to have the happy heads with the trench coats, and then I'll have my angry, moody heads with my more comic book-esque movie turtles. So excited to see those, and hopefully that means here in a couple months we'll get pre-orders for made to order on those, and then we can be the ones crying for 6 months that we haven't gotten our turtles yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
But this does still raise the question, and we talked about it. At least I think me and Jamar at least talked about it a few weeks ago, and that is, where's Randy? Like, outside of changing the profile pic of the NECA Twitter, it's still been kind of AFK. Like, these didn't really have a huge presence on their social media, and their Instagram is pretty much just like, hey, guys, we're still here. Here's some stuff. But their Twitter's been silent since November. So I'm curious, like, is he just fed up with it, or did he like walk off somewhere out of anger and he's the only one with the Twitter password? Like, why is no one else taking it over?
Yeah, I do wonder. Like, one, I would not blame him to just walk away from answering people on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, just as an example, and this is not NECA related, but so today, I don't know if you knew that in the original Wave 1 of Thundercats, there were some mistakes made. So Super7 said, hey, they're going to remold new, or they're going to recast new parts, paint them, send them to us, and get some bonus stuff. And so there was a thing put on their social media that said, hey, go to the website under news. It'll have all of the details. To which then every question after that was, well, if I got them from Big Bad Toy Store, how do I get them? If I got them from Big Bad Toy Store, how do I get them? Like 12 times.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the website, clicked on news, found the article. Oh, if I ordered them from Big Bad Toy Store, oh, they're going to automatically send them to me. Cool. That's all I had to do. That's all people have to do.
I'm aware.
I know you're aware, but just seeing this even today, I would just go ape shit on these people. And the minute Randy gets a little bit salty, people are like, oh, well, he's unprofessional. What a dick. What? He owns a major company. First of all, he doesn't own.
No, he's not.
Anything.
He's just the lead designer.
He works there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the like product developer or the director. Like he's big. Like he does a lot of the decision making and stuff like that, but he still is not the boss.
Yeah.
And I think probably the Twitter got to the big bosses and the social media was doing more harm than good. So they probably got banned from really doing anything. And maybe he'll talk about it. I look for him to do a video with Pixel Dan around the end of February to kind of take, place Toyfare. But yeah, I don't blame him. The stuff that he would put up with, and it's the reason I left so many groups was just like what you said. I mean, where's my turtles? Well, you get an email just about every week with an update on where everything is.
I'm annoyed at how many emails I get because I was like, I already know.
Right, me too. I'm like, I know.
I'm like, I'm like, I've got the cartoon dio and I've got the accessory pack. I assume those will show up when they show up because you didn't even have a window of time when you took the pre-orders. Yep. So like, I'm just like every week I get a pre-order or an email from them. I'm like, God damn it, I don't fucking care. My shit's nowhere near ready.
Yes. Send me an email when it's on its way.
Yeah, like
I know it's gonna take a while.
But yeah, I 100% agree. Like it's gotten to the point I'm pretty much ready to leave the NECA Facebook groups as well, just because they are some of the most toxic collectors out there.
Awful.
I decided, because I pretty much have decided my movie collection is no longer a movie collection. It's just going to be a live action version of the comics to go with my other like Mezco figures and stuff. So I didn't have any interest in Toka and Razar. I had interest in making Toka into Slash. And more of a like 2012 version of Slash or IDW version of Slash, where he's this big motherfucking snap turtle. So for me, I sold Brazar off, and I can see you shaking your head because you're a purist. But I
No. I'm not. To me, I'm just curious, like, who buys Razar just by himself?
Oh, that's I have no clue. Some weird
Yeah,
people on eBay.
To me, that's weird. Like, I see what you're doing, but yeah, the guy who's buying Razar just to have that's weird.
Yeah, I trust me. I didn't think it was gonna happen either. I was like, fuck it, I'll throw it up on eBay. If it sells, it sells. If not, it'll just go in the closet until I find someone who's interested. But
more power to you, honestly.
Yeah, I will say the guy who bought it, he was because it went through the global shipping thing with eBay, so he was from another country. So maybe it was a situation where he missed out, and he's just like, I gotta piece them together, and this is a better deal to buy this separately than it is to pay for the 2-pack as a whole. So he's hoping to maybe find Toka at some point, but yeah, anyway, I turned my Toka into Slash. I made him a black mask. I painted his eyes yellow. I'm in the process of wrapping his arms and legs in like gray wraps, and I posted like a progress picture in the Neca group along with some custom groups I'm in and on the Modern Toyfare social media. People were commenting saying how cool it was. The custom groups were like saying how awesome it was, and like, oh, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? I want to do this. The Neca group, boy, oh boy, was that an eye opener, because they shit in my mouth for like until I basically deleted the post, because it was just rude comment after rude comment, like, oh, why would you do that? That figure is, made to order. It's so hard to get, blah blah, and like gifs of people going, hell no, and that's stupid, and it's like, damn. Like, who?
Yeah, you do what you want.
Who fucking put a cactus up these people's assholes? Like, chill the fuck out. They're toys.
Well, if you ask them, Randy did. They hate him.
Oh,
they love NECA, but they hate him and hate all their products.
Yeah, but they're in a NECA group. Fandom. That's the part that makes no sense to me. Yeah. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, people, calm the fuck down. Like, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. Me and Jamar have had our fair share of talking bad about Randy, because as people who've worked retail, you sit there, you grin your teeth, and you just think really bad things about the person in front of you while they chew you out. So we're a little more like, you're behind a keyboard, you can ignore it kind of thing with his outbursts. But I still don't blame him for leaving Twitter and for leaving all these whiny entitled bitches behind. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they like, I complained about how toxic the wrestling figure community's gotten. NECA has somehow managed to outdo them, and that's impressive to me. But yeah, so I right now I'm more of a lurker in that group, just in case I find any deals on the 2-packs that I want, because I sure as hell have no interest in posting in there anymore, especially because like people will post things for eBay prices, and then they'll go on someone else's post on the same item at eBay price, be like, you're a piece of shit, scalper, blah blah blah, you should sell this for this and that. And it's like, you literally posted the same thing 2 days ago and couldn't sell it. Like, fuck off, people. Like, and yeah, it's bad. So I don't blame him for going away. I'm just more curious because he didn't do the Floosh interview from like a month or so ago.
Yeah,
that was the guy who's like in charge of getting all the licenses and shit in place and the likeness rights.
Well, he's the main guy for Turtles, I think, is the main thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why they had him on. But then again, I could be just really being optimistic, and maybe there is something going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to.
Yeah, my best guess is he's tired of it. He's beat down, and he's just like, 2020 sucked enough. Why the fuck would I want to continue to deal with these people? I'm just going to keep my nose down, do my work, and enjoy my hobby the best I can and ignore it all. But at the same time, if that was the case, did he not tell someone or give the password to someone else? Because the fact that the Twitter's been AFK for 3 months is kind of odd to me. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, because, I mean, hopefully he's okay, and it's nothing like he had, like, some tragic thing happen in the past couple months or anything like that. I just, deep down, I have a feeling it's just he got so tired of it. Because even when he'd do interviews with like Pixel Dan or with the guys from the Major Wrestling Figure podcast and stuff, half the conversation was just about how like he gets treated so poorly by the fans and how, it's tiring and this and that. And he, like, I try to explain to people, but they just don't care. Like, you can hear just, like, how defeated he is because he's got his, like, dream job of making toys of things he loves, but then he has to deal with all this. So it
Yeah.
definitely feels like it's a situation where he's just like, why bother? And he doesn't want to, get to the point where he doesn't love his job anymore and leaves and goes and does something even worse. But yeah, that's it for Turtle Watch. Sorry that dragged on for 20 extra minutes over literally announcement of two things.
That was my first Turtle Watch of the year, I think. So.
No, you were here for the first one of the year.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, because remember, Jamar decided to point out that you do the first show of the month, even though I never noticed that. Then you were here for the first Turtle Watch, and he missed out.
I was. That's right. I was.
All right, so time for weekly purchases. I'm going to go first just because anytime you're on the show, you're going to outdo me, so I'm just not even going to bother competing. I did get, as the accessory whore that I am, I've been watching some stuff on eBay for a while, and I want some stuff from some dioramas, and Jax, with their old WWF line, had some incredible accessory pieces for dioramas. So I bought the set that came with a dumpster.
Oh, wow, yeah.
A rubber trash can with a lid that comes off, and a nasty busted up old toilet, which actually you can lift the seat. So
nice.
I was like, that's pretty cool. And
that actually is very cool.
And like, I don't remember how much. I think it was probably like $20 back in the day, and I think I paid like 35. So I'm like, that's not too bad of a markup over the years.
Inflation.
Yeah, man. I did get, finally, even though I didn't pre-order it from Premium Bandai, the SH Figuarts. Let me see if I can get him so he's not all like blowing up with light. But Jace from the Ginyu Force. I got Ginyu and then instantly had FOMO, so I got him. I'm going to get Raccoon when he starts releasing, but I've already pre-ordered Birder and Gordo. So going to have them on my shelves hopefully at some point all together in their fabulous poses. And we talked about it earlier in the show, and that was the Build-A-Figure wave of the Mcfarlane Last Night on Earth figures. And after going to Target every single day afterwards, waiting for the restock, I literally got there a week later on Saturday as they were putting them on the shelf, and I managed to pick up Wonder Woman and then Scarecrow, so I was able to finish this big bad boy.
That's really cool looking. All together, that looks great.
Yeah, I will say, and I'll probably talk about it when I review it more, the Build-A-Figure is a bitch to put together. They did not do the legs justice. I had to heat mine up to get the legs to stay on, because he's got that rubber diaper that Todd's so obsessed with. So like, you can't get them to like lay flush while you like snap them together, and it's just so wonky. But yeah, I walked in and I walk around the corner, and instantly I see Batman in Straight Jacket. I'm like, yes, they got restocks. I rush over, and I'm looking through, and I found Scarecrow. I'm like, all right, there's Scarecrow, and there's 6 Batmans and Omegas. I'm like, fuck, someone took Wonder Woman. But then I noticed that the guy there was still putting things out, so I'm like, maybe he just thought he ran out of room, so he still has the box over there. So I went over to his little cart while he was doing it, and I was about to ask him, and then I see it laying on his cart, and I'm like, actually, I'm not even going to bother asking you the question I had. I need that. And he handed it to me, and then I wandered off to the checkout. And afterward, I'm like, man, I wonder if he was keeping that for himself, because there was definitely room on the shelf for it. So why Wonder Woman was just randomly still on his cart? Because she wasn't in a box. She was literally just laying there on the cart separately from everything else. So I'm just like, was he going to buy that? Like, who the fuck just buys Mohawk Wonder Woman by herself? Especially because this is their first restock, so it's not like he had the rest of the, like, three of the 4. But yeah, that's all I got. It was the most exciting was the Build-A-Figure stuff. I love the size of Bane, but yeah, they're gonna have to improve their Build-A-Figures over at Mark McFarlane before they sell me on those kind of lines.
Right. Yeah, I actually didn't have a lot coming into this week. And then yesterday happened, and so many deliveries happened at once. It was pretty funny. So I'll just run through a couple things. First of all, I don't have it with me, but a very big thanks goes to you for getting me one of the Cobra Island Vipers. So very cool of you. It was very appreciated. So, the first thing I got, I am not much of a change bots guy. I don't really do Transformers, but I do love Beast Wars, and so I picked up the new Hasbro War for Cybertron Kingdom Optimus Primal. So I'm at least gonna get Optimus Primal, Megatron, Dinobot, and maybe Black Arachnia, and maybe Cheetor. We'll see. Or I'll probably just get them all. But I love Beast Wars. Yeah, I love Beast Wars. Now, these are smaller than the original ones. But what was funny is I've talked about trying to transform Transformers before. I get this one out of the box. I'm all like, I'm going to play with this. So I get to step 4, and I'm like, no. And I just put him back into a robot, and that was it. I'm an idiot.
I'm not sure if you watched a few weeks ago, but I managed to find Megatron. And I essentially did something very similar. I was like, oh, I'm going to transform into the dinosaur. And I was so excited. And I made it all the way through. But on the show, I even talked about that was the most miserable experience of my life, trying to transform. Yeah. I'm like, this is not for children. Like, the amount of force I had to put into it to get him to, like, pop into place and stuff. I'm like, I would hate to have children and have to, like, buy them Transformers and transform them. Like, I'd be like, no, we don't talk about Transformers in my house.
Yeah, we only do Super 7. Transformers in this house. Yeah. No, I haven't actually seen that one. I've been going through a lot of the back catalog, but I haven't. I gotta look at that because that would be good. I want to see that because I do love that version of Megatron a lot.
Oh yeah.
So next, I got this already from Big Bad Toy Store.
Damn, that was
so. This
quick.
is my Marvel Legends Firestar. Yeah, very quick. I was surprised when it dropped in my pile of loot. And then we'll go with this next. Again, speaking of Super 7, I got one Conan figure. I did not get the entire wave. I got Falsa Doom. Mostly because I didn't like that pit fighter Conan. And I made myself rewatch the movie before I decided if I was going to get the other two guys. And I was like, these guys are not important. I do not need to spend $100 on them. So it looks like I'm just going to have a real cool collection of Conan and Falsa Doom. Because I'm gonna get the iconic pose, Conan, and then the
war paint.
Yeah, and then I'll get the snake one. But this one's great. I actually for years thought this is what James Earl Jones really looked like. Like I thought he had long hair and bangs across, and I was like, yeah, a guy who played Darth Vader would look that cool. But I do like this. He comes with a cape, which looks awesome, but the cape really only fits on the helmeted head. And I really like the unhelmeted head. And he comes with some extra knives, but I wish he came with a big sword. But he doesn't. I don't know. But I love the
size of the sword that
design.
Matters,
I know. He's got the little snake dagger. But I mean, even like right now, I don't have any Conan. Like this fits perfectly in though with my He-Man movie figures. I mean, it's the exact same look, and I do have the regular Conan, the comic book one, so I don't even really mind. So he'll be by himself for like another
year,
6 to 8 months here now before I get that other Conan. But he's great. I don't regret really not getting the other ones just because I got to be selective, a little bit more selective on those. And then even though like two of my friends already got them like last week, just yesterday I got the final Loot Crate. So I got my Bebop and Rocksteady as bunnies. I don't know if you can count this as a weekly purchase, considering I paid for them like a year ago.
I look at it as if you were to get one of your Super 7 pre-orders from Super 7, it's a weekly purchase because it showed up that week.
Yeah, okay. And then from NECA and Shout Factory, I got the My Bloody Valentine Harry Warden minor retro cloth figure. I don't normally do the retro cloth figures unless it's something I know I'm never going to get in a ultimate style. So it's really cool. I really like this. This is probably one of the best ones they've done like this. It's really, really cool looking. I really, really like it. It's just really, really well done. And I've said really, really a lot.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, and then I got this of all places from Best Buy. Finally grabbed one of these because it was on clearance for $44, and I had certificates, so I think I paid $3.
That's not bad. I feel like that's the only Star Wars
No,
figure I've seen at Best Buy, honestly.
yeah. And then one last thing, which is not totally toy related, but it is what I call toy adjacent.
Ooh.
I'm a big fan of soundtracks, especially soundtracks on vinyl, and I'm a big fan of the record label Waxwork. And as a subscriber, I got
Oh, nice.
the Ninja Turtle 2 soundtrack. This is the subscriber variant, so it's different, but it does have all new Kevin Eastman artwork. He did the artwork for the first movie soundtrack that they did a couple years ago, which is getting a repress this year. But if this does go up on Friday, it is on sale Friday, so 11 a.m. for the regular edition. For the
so what's the difference between the regular edition and that one? Because I saw a post about the regular edition, and it looks the same to me.
It's the color of the vinyl.
Oh, okay. So it's not the art. Okay, I feel like the artwork's really nice. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, the subscribers always get a subscriber exclusive vinyl color, so it's kind of neat or whatever. But I don't really care what color it is as long as it sounds good. But I really like this. This is cool. The music I like the music for the first one better, but you gotta complete the set. But it looks really cool. And seeing Kevin Eastman draw these characters, I always love that.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I did get the original one when it came out, but I was just like, I don't fucking need vinyl, so I ended up selling it eventually anyway. So I'm just like, I don't want to get this. It looks cool, but I don't need it. Like,
well, and that first Turtle album came out on CD too. It's one of the few things they've only put out like 2 or 3 CDs. Now it's out of print and going for a lot of money, but it's getting a repress this year. Oh. So if you actually want it on CD, it's like $10 when it came out. You can do that way. Yeah. So, and I'm sure they're going to do that for this one just because that one was such a big success. So,
I do.
But that's it.
I want to call bullshit. I feel like you're holding out on me because there's something that you posted on your social media that you got this week that you aren't showing.
That technically wasn't this week. I got it Saturday.
That's in modern Toyfare time. That is this week. The show records on Thursday, so anything after Thursday counts as this week for us.
All right. I disappeared.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, there's a big pile here. So,
have you? I'm assuming you probably haven't taken them out yet, have you?
Nope. I haven't even taken Series 1 out of the box yet. I'm so behind. So my Super 7 Turtles came in. So there's Leonardo, which Michael has already seen and done stuff too, which I actually really like what he did with his. This one seems to be this one, and Bebop seems to be the ones that impresses people.
It does look.
This
really
one looks great. These things are nice. Like they really are a lot of fun. I shouldn't say I haven't opened any. I opened the Foot Soldier.
Such a random one to open. Oh, I can't wait.
This bad boy. Yeah, he's so huge. And then I can't believe you didn't get this one. You just got Leonardo and Bebop?
Yeah, because I don't know. He looks cool, but I don't need that version of Shredder because I'm in the process of making like a Mezco style Shredder.
Yeah.
So like
that makes sense. As long as you have a Shredder.
Yeah.
I get that. Like if you want to make a different one, I can accept that.
Yeah.
Just not having one at all doesn't work.
Oh yeah. If it was a situation where I just didn't have one. I mean, of course I have my Neca one from the movie. But I'm also in the process because I don't know if I'm going to display that one. I'm making a Mezco style one. I'm going to be using a body with a mishmash of different parts. Like I'm waiting for the Iron Fist figure to come out so I can use his like taped up wrists and legs for that, and then glue the armor pieces onto that. And then I'm probably going to use the NECA head unless I can find a head I like better for that and just paint it so it's a little more shiny instead of that kind of rusty look. And then he's going to have like a soft goods ninja costume, and I'm going to probably add like the red sash for his belt and stuff to make it more like the comics, like the IDW comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have different plans for that. I've just been waiting to get the parts because Mezco is like, hey, we already are bad at meeting release dates, but let's have a year where everything gets pushed back anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, supposedly my other Leo and Bebop are arriving tomorrow. We'll see. FedEx said they were in Phoenix as of last night, but then they didn't show up. So I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
For...
it was kind of funny just for people who order from Big Bad Toy Store. That $4 shipping is nice, but I had a pile of loot that I sent with my $4 shipping, and I sent it out. I think it was like on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then the next day is when my turtles came in. And for whatever reason, I wanted them sooner. So I upgraded to the $12 shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got these like within like 2 or 3 days. And then the other box that was sent the day before didn't get there until like 4 days later.
Oh, yeah.
So you may just want to, like, once they come into your pile of loot, pump up the extra bucks, $8 or so bucks more, and get that shit a little bit faster.
Oh, 1,000%.
So that's just my tip.
I preach that to Jamar every time he orders something, because
you get what you pay for with $4 shipping.
Because I've paid for the ground like $12 or $8 shipping every time, like for a long while now. But Jamar has made the mistake of paying the $4 a few times, and then it goes like, he actually had his Mandalorian figure. It came to Ohio, then went back to Michigan, then back to Ohio, then back to Michigan for like a week straight before finally being delivered. And I'm like, I don't care what shipping you pay for. If it's you're literally spending more money to drag this thing to and from states, rather than if it's already in the state it's being delivered to take it to the next location. So like, it makes zero sense to me, but it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, that's it for weekly purchases then. However, before we close out, we're going to talk about our giveaway. Once we hit 350 YouTube subscribers, we will give away a first place prize of the NECA Ultimate Metalhead and a second place prize of the extra large NECA Musical Musion Tour merch box bundle, including an extra large shirt, tote bag, souvenir ticket, backstage badge, and 4 guitar picks. Real simple, all you have to do: subscribe to the YouTube channel, go to either Twitter or Instagram, and share the giveaway post. Can't go on your fleet, can't go on your story, because those only last for 24 hours, and then they're gone. You're not entered. So make sure it's on your feed. Make sure you use the hashtag ModernToyFair100. Easiest way, go to Twitter, because even if you don't have a Twitter, it's free. It's real easy to set up, and it's the pinned post. You literally get to our page, and it's the first thing you see. Hit retweet, type in ModernToyFair100, you're done. I've had a few people actually do it this week, so thank you very much. And we are slowly getting there. We are currently at 210 subscribers, so we are less than 150 away at this point. So make it happen. We'll give away some stuff finally, and people who are still waiting for their Metalhead can get one from free faster from me than they can from NECA. So opportunity awaits you. However, that is it for this week's Modern Toy Fair news. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, even though he's not here, go check Jamar out on Why Are You a Gamer? I'm still trying to light a fire under his ass because he's dragging along, kicking the can, not getting started back up. But he's got, a little one now, so he's still trying to figure out how to make that work. But in the meantime, he has a huge backlog. It's a nice conversation with different people in the community about why they like video games and what kind of video games kind of got them started. So go check that out. I was on episode 3 or 4, probably the best episode, so I just start there. Of course, we have Nate and the Figuratively Speaking podcast, which I just realized after an hour and a half that you have been Jamar this entire time. So
I've been Jamar?
Yeah, you've been Jamar_games on the graphics. That's my bad. I was so concerned with getting my mic situation fixed that I completely forgot about that. But anyway, tell us about the Figuratively Speaking podcast.
Well, we're pulling a Big Bad Toy Store here. So originally we were coming back in January. That was February. Now it's end of quarter 1. But we do have some solid progress. They finally agreed that we are going to move to a virtual setting. So it's just a matter of hammering out a schedule. So
All right, hey, that's progress. I mean, you went from them being like,
Hmm.
"Boo, technology! It's
Right.
1982," to like now you at least got them, moving in the right direction. So hopefully we'll
That's
see
right.
that here soon. And
Yep.
as course as I've mentioned many times on this show, you can catch my voice over on the Gimmick Minute Wrestling podcast with Jason and Kevin, where we shoot the shit about the wrestling community for about an hour or so. We talk about anything from the WWE side, AEW, even Impact now. We talk about the Wednesday Night Wars, so it's a good old time. However, if you'd like to support my channel, you can click the link below for tpublic.com, where I sell shirts with our logo on it, along with other designs I've cooked up in Photoshop, such as the G.I. Joe Modern Toy Fair News logo shirt that Nate is currently wearing. I will have some others from other different animated show properties up soon. And of course, like I mentioned, I have a bunch of other designs that have nothing to do with the show. So check that out. I greatly appreciate it. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe. But not only that, leave us a comment below with what your favorite announcement was, or if we fucked anything up, because I guarantee I did. I guarantee there's something in here that I mispronounced, or I just didn't get the story right, or what I read was wrong and has been updated. So let me know, and I'll talk to you about it, and I'll even probably mention it in the next week's show to make sure I correct myself so people don't think I'm just a jackass. Not that I'm not. If you do enjoy the show, though, make sure to hit the little bell to get notifications when video goes up. We have Modern Toy Fair News on Fridays and Modern Toy Fair Reviews on Mondays. If you don't enjoy our beautiful faces, though, and just want to hear our beautiful voices, we have the audio-only version of Modern Toy Fair News available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and other podcast apps you know and love. And hopefully we will see you next week. Same toy time, same Toy Fair channel.